Welcome in former MLB Executive of the Year and CBS Sports Baseball Insider Jim Bowden. Cam Schlittler. What can you say about Cam Schlittler, Jim Bowden?
Holy Schlittler. That's what I can say.
Let's go.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, another star was born in the Bronx today. That's what happened. 12 strikeouts. Manager Aaron Boone learned his lesson from game one, and he was not going to pull Schlittler out after 7 innings. No, he wasn't. He made him go right back out there in the 8th, and he became the only rookie pitcher ever in postseason wearing a Yankees uniform or any uniform to strike out 12 batters in his debut as a rookie in the postseason. That was unbelievable. And you talked about Ryan McMahon's catch over that third base dugout. Another great move by Aaron Boone in the 6th inning when he took out Ahmed Rosario for defensive purposes with a 4-0 lead. He made all the right moves tonight. But as you mentioned it 50 times already, and I don't blame you, tonight was all about Schlittler. He pitched the Yankees by himself into the next round. He was dominant, and he did it with a fastball, a 2-seamer and a 4-seamer. He filled up the strike zone, he pitched ahead, and he basically told the Red Sox hitters, all I'm going to throw is fastballs tonight. See if you can hit it, because I don't think you can. Here they come. And they couldn't hit it. And now the Red Sox season has come to an end.
His 100th pitch of the game was at 99. It was as if he was getting stronger as the game went along. You talked about the 4-seam fastball. The curveball was incredible. The cutter. What did you see that worked so well for Schlittler and Austin Wells on this night?
Well, for Schlittler, it was the 2-seamer more than the 4-seamer because he just kept throwing it for strikes. It lived in the strike zone, and he could throw it at the top of the zone. He could throw it at the bottom of the zone, but that was the pitch. It was a special pitch, and it was a performance that brought memories back of Nolan Ryan. It brought memories back of Roger Clemens. It was that kind of dominant performance. And when I was watching the game, Akeem, all I could think about was the Yankees don't have their ace, Garrett Cole. He had Tommy John surgery. He missed the season. And here we are in October with another Garrett Cole. I text GM Brian Cashman in the 7th inning. My text to him was, holy Schlittler. We have another ace being born in the Bronx. He gave me this gift back, keeping his fingers crossed. But that's what it was tonight. This was a big deal. This was huge. And so for the New York Yankees, their starting rotation is in a very strong place heading into Toronto. And that's going to be great because Fried pitched well, Rodon pitched well, Schlittler pitched well, and you have Lewis Heel who will pitch game 1 in that next series.
Well, and one thing that was also impressive and something that other managers are going to have to pay attention to, and of course they will because they know how strong this Yankee lineup can be, because their first time through the order against Connolly earlier, they were 1 for 9 first time through. Second time through, 6 for 9. So when you get that kind of production, now you're putting together good at-bats. Now you're putting together an inning that will allow you to separate in games that are going to be close. This is the difference in October, Jim, as you know, when the margins are so razor thin.
Yeah, and Akeem, I think the other point, though, here is I felt like Alex Cora in that 4th inning didn't manage like he normally does in October. I don't think he felt a sense of urgency. I think he kind of missed at it. I mean, he early threw over 30 pitches in that inning. It was obvious he was done. And as we watched the earlier game, when Yu Darvish had that same kind of thing happen to him in the 2nd inning, what did Mike Shildt do? He went out and took him out immediately. There was no further damage after that. And I felt like that's what Alex needed to do. I mean, just because he's a rookie and had pitched well coming in, this was only his 5th major league start ever. And yes, he breezed through the first 3. I get it. But that 4th inning, the wheels were falling off. And there was no doubt that the Yankee hitters were starting to figure out what he was throwing. He started to lose rhythm, and I kind of felt like in an elimination game, there needed to be more urgency there for Alex. I thought he waited too long, and by the time he went and got him, it was too late.
It was. He made him wear it, and in the end, the Yankees had a 4-run 4th inning, and that was more than enough for Cam Schlittler, who threw 8 innings of scoreless baseball and struck out 12. And we're talking about a postseason darling here, perhaps blooming right before our eyes. What did this series win mean for the Yankees? Yeah, they go on and face the Blue Jays, but what did it mean in terms of getting past the first round and being able to knock out your rival?
Yeah, I mean, this just means they're a legitimate threat to get back to the World Series, which we really didn't know. You know, this series with the Red Sox was extremely close. We thought it would go 3 games. It did. But I think watching them, we're still a little worried about the bullpen. We're still a little bit worried about the bullpen depth. That's going to be a problem. But I think when we're looking at the Yankees now, 4 really good starting pitchers, an impact closer, and we all know this team can score runs with one swing of the bat. I think a lot of positive things happened in this series that won't be in the box score. Jazz Chisholm not being in the lineup. I thought that was a huge thing because it got him really upset. And I thought he came out and was on fire, and then he scored that huge run in Game 2. He had really good at-bats today. Loved watching him swing the bat, but I think the actual benching in Game 1 had a real positive effect on him in Games 2 and 3. So I think we learned a lot. It was also nice to see Aaron Judge have a little velocity on one of his throws today. I thought that was also encouraging. So I think when you look at this thing, the Yankees' defense was better than Boston's. You know, you saw Rafaela, who's a platinum center fielder, but he didn't make a play I thought he normally makes. Nathaniel Lowe didn't make a play on that ground ball. I know it was an in-between hop, but I thought he should have made a play on that. The Yankees played really good defensive ball, and Aaron Boone absolutely pushed all the right buttons in this game, leaving Schlittler in, getting McMahon in there to play defense. And for the Yankees to win this game, and 3 of the RBIs come from your 6, 8, and 9 hole hitters, that's a really positive thing, too, because we know that Judge and Stanton and the guys in the middle are going to do most of the damage this October. But to know you're getting production from Wells and Volpe, that is going to really help them when they get to that next series against the Blue Jays, Akeem.
Well, and you remember that back in June, the Red Sox had just swept the Yankees, and then they trade Rafael Devers, and we're going, what are they doing? And then you said, well, okay, maybe we're going to leave the Red Sox for dead. And it turns out it was actually a blessing in disguise because they call up their top prospects in Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony. Unfortunately, they get injured. Lucas Giolito gets injured here at the end of the season. So it was really, they were down in the count here coming into the playoffs. When you look at what's next for the Red Sox and what they have in store, their future is as bright as any franchise right now going into next season.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, I think Roman Anthony is going to be a superstar. I think Marcelo Meyer is going to be an all-star caliber player. Rafael is already one of the best defensive center fielders in the game. And even though he failed early in the season, I still like Christian Campbell. I think he'll develop into being a solid player at second base. You know, I think the big issue is, will they be able to bring Alex Bregman back? Bregman meant so much to this team, not just because of his play offensively and defensively, but more important from a leadership perspective. He was very influential on Anthony and Meyer and the entire team. So that's something we'll have to watch in free agency. I know he wants to go back, but they're going to have to pay him. He's going to get paid this time around. He's going to get that long-term deal that he's looking for. So that's going to be a big story. And then the next question is going to be the starting pitching. I think they need to go out and get one more big starter, even if they have to get it in free agency. I think that would be huge for them if they could.
Well, they certainly have a bright future ahead of them. The future for the Yankees is moving on to Toronto, thanks in part to Cam Schlittler. Let's finish this Schlitt. And this segment is finished. But much more ahead with our Jim Bowden throughout October. Always fun talking baseball with Jim. It's one of my favorite things to do here. Schlitt happened. Yeah, it did. It did. First pitcher with 8 innings, no runs, no walks, 12 strikeouts in MLB postseason history. Most strikeouts in a winner-take-all in a playoff game in MLB history. First Yankee with that line. He's the first Yankee with 12 strikeouts in his playoff debut. And I'll remind you, they have been playing baseball in New York. The Yankees have been around since 1903, and Cam Schlittler is the first one ever to do it. Schlitt happened. Coming up, we set the table for the American League Division Series. Yankees against the Blue Jays. Tigers taking on the Mariners. Who advances to the ALCS? We'll break it down next on CBS Sports HQ. October baseball. Oh, yeah. Division Series begins Saturday. Blue Jays welcome in the division rival Yankees. Toronto won the AL East over the Yankees on the final day of the regular season. Blue Jays won the season series 8-5. Toronto was 6-1 at home against the Yankees this season, and that's where this series will start. And, well, we'll see how it plays out. In the other ALDS, it's Tarek Skubal and the Tigers clashing with Cal Raleigh and the Mariners. Skubal slated to pitch Game 2. Big Dumper hit 60 home runs in the regular season. One of them was against Skubal. Skubal played college baseball for Seattle University, so somewhat of a homecoming for him. The Mariners have won 4 straight games against the Tigers. Back here with former MLB Executive of the Year and CBS Sports Baseball insider Jim Bowden. Yankees, Blue Jays. It was as if they were on a collision course here. Final day of the regular season. Toronto wins the division. My question for you, Jim, is, okay, it was 8-5 in the regular season, but it was 6-1 the advantage at home for the Blue Jays. What has to happen for the Yankees to go into Toronto and at least get one?
They have to outpitch them, and that's going to be the key for the Yankees. You know, we all want to talk about the MVP season that Aaron Judge has. We all want to talk about the success we saw with Giancarlo Stanton last postseason. We know what the big boys can do here, but the big story for the New York Yankees is the starting rotation, and their rotation right now is in the best shape it's been all season long. Louis Heel will start Game 1 for them, followed by Max Fried, followed by Carlos Rodon, followed by Cam Schlittler. Those will be the guys pitching the first 4 games of this 5-game series, and they're all at a good spot right now. They're all healthy, and they're all pitching at their best at the right time. The Yankees need them to pitch deep into games. You know, I know they're very comfortable with Fernando Cruz and David Bednar at the back end, but they're not as comfortable with Weaver and Devin Williams as they have pitched. And so that's going to be an area that is going to be something that is going to be important in this series. But for them to beat Toronto, their starting pitching has to outpitch Toronto's.
Well, they're hoping to have Bo Bichette back in this series, which would give us Bo Bichette and Cam Schlittler in the same series. So I'm going to have to be really careful when I read these highlights so I don't slip up. Because it's going to be very critical, Jim, for me to enunciate my words when Bo Bichette is facing Cam Schlittler. Or maybe Schlitt will happen. We never know. All right, so the Yankees are the favorites here to win this series, and they're actually tied right now, best odds to win the World Series with the team they lost to in the World Series last year, the Dodgers. Who's your pick to win this series? And please don't be a prisoner of the moment and say the Yankees because of just what happened.
Yeah, so look, I've got the Yankees winning this. I did before the postseason started. I had them playing the Blue Jays and winning the series. I think it'll be a good series. The one thing I really do like about the Blue Jays is they have the best defense in the American League. You don't get 27 outs with Toronto. Toronto has the best outfield defense in the league, and outside of shortstop, they have a plus defender at every position, and they're going to beat you there. And their lineup is deep, and they can mix and match against you. They can platoon the lefty-righty thing extremely well. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is living up to that $500 million contract he got back in spring training. And the Blue Jays are really tough to beat up there in Toronto at Rogers Center. They really are. So I think we're in for a really good series. I do. But the rotation isn't as good as it was most of the year for Toronto. I'm a little bit worried about that aspect of their team, especially as we get into games 3 and 4. So we'll see how it plays out. I think it's going to be close, but I do think the Yankees have a better team. And remember, even though the Blue Jays won the division, they were tied, right? But in the regular season, the Yankees couldn't beat Toronto and they couldn't beat Boston. But I think that will flip in the postseason, and I think that's when the Yankees will get back at the Red Sox, which they just did, and I think they'll get back at Toronto as well. But I think we're in for a really good series.
This is the first ever meeting in the postseason between the Blue Jays and Yankees. Might surprise a few folks. It's the first ever postseason meeting between the Tigers and Mariners. How much are you looking forward to the Tarek Skubal Cal Raleigh matchup in this one. And as I mentioned, Scooble played college baseball at Seattle University, so a homecoming for him here.
Yeah, I mean, look, it'll be fun because Tarik Skubal is going to win the Cy Young Award, second consecutive year that he won in the American League. He is the second best pitcher in baseball to Paul Skeens, but the best pitcher in the American League. In my opinion, Cal Raleigh is going to win the MVP slightly over Aaron Judge, who I think will win the Hank Aaron Award for best offensive player. But because Raleigh caught and was such an elite framer and called such a great game all year, I think Raleigh's going to end up getting the votes of the writers to edge out Judge. So to see the Cy Young Award winner face the MVP one-on-one, it's going to be great. The problem with the Tigers is he only gets to start one game every 5 days or 4 days. And he's not going to start game one. He's going to start game two, which makes it almost impossible to pitch game five, or at least a lot of game five. And so, you know, I just think it's going to be hard for Detroit to get by Seattle. I said all along, I thought Seattle was the best team in the American League. Their starting rotation is deep 1 to 5. They have an elite closer in Andres Munoz. They got strong bullpen arms and depth getting to him. They're a strong defensive team up the middle with Raleigh behind the plate, J.P. Crawford sitting there at shortstop, J-Rod in center field. So they're really good defensively up the middle. They got power on the corners with Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez. They've got speed in right field and Victor Robles, who's going to rob you of a hit in the gap. Seattle has a really good team. Detroit got in because they're in the American League Central, but the fact of the matter is I can't see them. I cannot see them outside of the day that Skubal pitches. I can't see them beating Seattle.
Well, I'm going to give you this statistic right here. The Tigers are 22-10 when Tarik Skubal pitches. They're 66-66 when anybody else pitches. So
yeah, that's them.
That's what it is.
It's a good stat, Akeem. Yeah.
So you're picking Seattle to advance to the ALCS. They've never appeared in the World Series.
Ever.
They're the only team in franchise in MLB history. Do you believe in the Mariners to get to the World Series?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think either the Mariners or the Yankees can get there. I think they're the two best teams left standing in the American League. I really do. And I think one of the two of them are going to be there. I'm not going to give you my prediction yet. I need to watch both of these teams in the next series. I'm a big believer in momentum and recency bias, so I want to keep watching. But I predicted before the postseason started that it would be a Mariners-Phillies World Series. So I'm going to stick with that for now, but I'll be subject to change based on how they play coming up this week.
Oh, man, that would be fun. I'm already thinking about that. Big Dumper against Kyle Schwarber. Led their respective leagues in home runs. Potentially the two MVPs, not Shohei and Aaron Judge. Just stirring the pot here. I love it, Jim. I'd love to see that.
Ohtani's going to win the MVP, but I would love to see a Schwarber-Raleigh World Series.
That would be something else. All right, Division Series begins Saturday. Jim Bowden here with us on CBS Sports HQ. Tigers and Mariners, first ever meeting in the postseason. Seattle won 4 straight against Detroit in the regular season. Tarik Skubal, Cal Raleigh, Big Dumper. We cannot wait. It all gets going on Saturday.